Hi, this is Munson from Munson Music. I'm going to talk about how you can play a song called Two Sparrows and a Hurricane by Tanya Tucker. And it starts off with this cool little bass line where we're end up capoing this on 3rd fret and later on 5th fret actually to kind of match the recording. But it starts off with this cool little bass line where you can play 2nd on the A string, 3rd fret on the A, 2nd on the A, open A, and then 2nd on the A, and then 3rd fret on the A. And the chords you would kind of back that up with would start on a G major chord when we play G major. First finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the low E string 3rd fret, and 3rd finger on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord that sounds really, really happy. Now you may also want to put the 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret, pinky on the high E string 3rd fret. That's another way you can play your G major through the song. And because that B note on the A string is coming out of that, that's called a G/B. When you kind of use that voicing for G. And then from the G we go to a C major chord. When we play C major, first finger goes to the B string on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the D string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the A string 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord and it sounds really, really happy. Now you may also want to think about lifting off the 1st finger and making that a C major 7. Or you could take the pinky and go to the B string on the 3rd fret and make that a C major 9. Or you could use a different C major 9, where you do the 1st finger on the D string 2nd, 2nd finger on the A string 3rd, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that's another way you can play your C major chord. And then from the C we go back to our G, but then that open A string you kind of back up with an A minor chord where you play A minor. First finger goes to the B string on the 1st fret, 2nd finger on the D string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the G string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an A minor chord and it sounds really, really sad. Now, if you're kind of digging on that C major non-voicing, for A chords you could kind of use an A7 sus, where you do the 1st finger on the D string 2nd, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds an A7 sus. And then from the A minor we go back to our G/B and then kind of a C major at the end of the intro. Now a lot of times with a song like this though, to kind of back up my voice, I like using something called a strum pattern. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the G and just tried that a lot. You'd have down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Now the weird part about applying that to the intro is you may want to half the strum pattern. So you want to do the G with kind of a down, down, C on the up, down, up. G with the down, down, A minor on the up, down, G on the down, down, C on the up, down, up, and then you just want to kind of let it hang on that last C. So G, C, G, A minor, G, C. And then from there, then we go into our verse form. And we start off on G, and then we go to C, and then we go back to G, and then another G, but then we go to a B minor chord. We play B minor. Normally you do this as a 2nd fret bar, 2nd finger on the B string 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the D string 4th fret, and the pinky on the G string 4th fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a B minor chord and it sounds really, really sad. Now you may also want to think about lifting off the pinky and making that a B minor 7. Or another way to play B minor 7 is to do 1st finger on the A string 2nd, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd, 3rd finger on the high E 2nd, kind of play a B minor 7 that way. Or if you're digging on that C major 9 and the G voicing, you can do the 1st finger on the A 2nd, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd, and the pinky on the high E 3rd, and kind of use that for your B minor chord. And then from the B minor we go to C, and then we go back to G major, and then another G major. And then from the G we go to an A major chord. We play A major. First finger goes to the D on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the B string 2nd fret. If you strum all those together, that sounds an A major chord and it sounds really, really happy. Now while you're on A majors in general, you may want to think about lifting off the 3rd finger and making that an A suspended 2nd. Or you could take the A major and add the pinky in on the 3rd fret on the B and make that an A suspended. Or you may want to think about kind of lifting off the 2nd finger and making that an A7 chord. Or you could kind of readjust your fingers and add the pinky in on the high E 3rd, make it an A7 that way. And then from the A we go back to C major, and then we go back to A, and then we go to an A minor, and then a D major at the end of our verse. So we tried our verse with our strum pattern, we'd have the G, down, up, down, up, C, down, up, down, up, G, and then G, D minor, C major, G, G major, A, C, that verse, and we'll be going into our chorus part. It kind of mixes up a lot of the things we've been talking about. So we got G, C, G, C, A minor, G slash B, D major, G, C, with a little piece of our intro, actually, kind of G, C, G, A minor, before we go into our next verse. Now the weird part is to play along with Tanya Tucker, instead of starting on a G major chord, she's starting on a B flat major chord. So to play along with the recording, what you want to do is take a capo, and if you put the capo on 3rd fret, then now your G is really a B flat major, and your C is really an E flat major, and your A minor is really a C minor chord, and your B minor is really a D minor chord, and the A major is really a C major chord, and your D major is really an F major chord. But to take it from the very beginning, you could kind of follow that bass line if you wanted to, as kind of the intro, kind of that 2, 3, or you could work the strum pattern with the chords and have the G down, C on the up, down, G on the down, down, up, down, G with the down, down, C on the up, down, up. Or speaking of bass notes, a lot of times with a song like this too, I like to add bass notes to the strumming. And you could kind of make the down, down, up, down, up, bass, down, up, down. And on the G chord, you'd have low E for the bass, unless you're thinking of that G slash B, in which case you need the A for the bass. And then on the C, you'd have the A for the bass. And on the A minor, you'd have the A for the bass. On the D minor, you'd have the D for the bass. And on the A major, you'd have the A for the bass. And on the B minor, you'd have the A for the bass. So if we took it through that intro with kind of a bass down, up, down, up idea, you'd have G slash B with an A bass, down, C on the up, down, G slash B, down, up, down, G slash B, C, kind of a big C. And then if we took that idea and tried it through our first verse, you'd have G with low E bass, C with an A bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass, D with an A bass, C with an A bass, G with low E bass, that idea through our first chorus. So we'd have G with low E bass, C with an A bass, G with low E bass, C with an A bass, A minor with an A bass, G slash B with an A bass, D with a D bass, D with a D bass, G with low E bass, C with an A bass, G with low E bass, C with an A bass, A minor with an A bass, pick it up on that intro return where we got that G slash B, C, G slash B, A minor. And then from there, we'll be going into our next verse. And one other thing I think about, especially because of the nature of the tune, is you'll hear a lot of fingerstyle parts. And these are some things called arpeggios, where instead of playing the whole chord, they're little pieces of the chord. And if you're kind of interested in doing this fingerstyle, what you could do is the thumb could become your bass player for the E and the A and the D string. And you could line up the G string for the index finger, B string for the middle finger, and high E string for the ring finger. And kind of almost make it kind of a bass, index, middle, ring idea. It could be a cool, easy way to kind of start doing some fingerstyle through it. So your thumb would just be following your bass notes that we've been playing as kind of a strum. strum idea. So we tried that through our next verse. You'd have the G, C, G, G. So kind of doing it twice for each chord, right? A minor, C, G, G, tried that idea through our next chorus. We have the G, C, G, C, A minor with an A bass, G slash B with an A bass, D with the D bass, D, G with the Louis bass, C with an A bass, G with the Louis bass, C with an A bass, with an A bass, then we kind of got our big D, and then we kind of go back to that G slash B, C, G slash B, A minor, but then there's a key change. And so what you may want to do is kind of take the capo from the 3rd fret, and if you move it over to 5th fret, then now your G major is really a C major chord, your C is really an F major chord, and your D is really a G major chord, and your A minor is really a D minor, your A major is really a D, and your B minor is really an E minor chord. So we kept that going. Actually, we kind of hear the intro come back, kind of that G slash B, C, G slash B, A minor, and then we'd be going into our last verse. So you'd have our G, C, G, G, B minor, C, G, G, A major, A, C, C, A, minor, D major, and then from there we'll be going into our outro chorus. So we have our G, C, C, G, C, A minor, G slash B, D with the D bass, D, G, C, G, C, A minor, and then we can have a D major, and then another D hit, and then we kind of go back into that intro part, that G slash B, C, G slash B, A minor, and then we kind of play a big G at the very, very end. But that's the basics of how you can strum through and kind of try some easy fingerstyle with 2 Sparrows and a Hurricane by Tanya Tucker. So good luck!